Let's jump straight into it. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're going to unpack three incredibly intense, real-life accounts of school lockdowns. We hear about these events on the news all of the time, right? But they're usually heavily filtered and just kind of generalized. Well, today, we're doing something different. We are going to walk right through the exact terrifying proximity to danger experienced by the people actually inside those buildings. We'll be looking at three very different scenarios of escalating suspense, drawing directly from firsthand accounts so we can really understand the anatomy of a lockdown.
So, the big question we really need to ask ourselves today is this: how quickly does a completely boring school day turn into an absolute nightmare? Honestly, what's so jarring about these accounts isn't even just the danger itself, it's the sheer whiplash of the transition. Think about it. You're sitting there, completely bored out of your mind, just counting down the minutes, and then, in a fraction of a second, your fundamental sense of safety is entirely shattered.
Section 1. When lockdowns become real, the mundane interrupted.
Look at this insane compression of time in our first story. For minutes, it's just seventh period calculus. Students are antsy, ready to go home. The laid-back teacher decides to just kill the rest of the clock with a brand logo quiz on Sporkle.com. I mean, it is incredibly mundane. But then, in mere seconds, that auditory cue hits. The dean's voice blasts over the loudspeaker, frantic and totally panicked, announcing a lockdown, and he makes it clear, this is not a drill. Instantly, that mundane reality snaps. The teacher goes into full panic mode, and within moments, the humming from the back panel just dies as the school's power is completely cut. Section 2. The hallway menace, danger outside the door. Okay, so the panicked teacher immediately kicks into physical survival protocols. Step 1, turn off the lights. Step 2, usher all the students into the back corner of the room. Step 3, sit in absolute, complete silence. It's such a chilling reality to picture, a whole room full of high schoolers suddenly thrust into pitch black silence. Just waiting.
And man, they did not have to wait long. Through the darkness, they hear a man screaming at the top of his lungs, moving right down the hallway. He starts banging violently on the metal lockers. And then the terror isolates them completely because the banging moves directly to their classroom door. Through the wood, they hear this terrifying demand. "I'll kill all of you, open up." You can just imagine the sheer terror as students actually began to cry, just praying the lock holds against a guy who sounds completely out of his mind.
After what had to feel like an absolute eternity, the man finally moved on. Now, the dean later announced over the PA that an unstable person had assaulted a front desk worker and flooded into their massive cameraless building. But the aftermath here, it is seriously chilling. Because later that night, a janitor found the suspect fast asleep in a storage closet at the back of the school, and sticking right out of his pocket, a .44 Magnum. The janitor ended up startling him, and the guy just slipped away into the night before the cops could even get there. Those kids sat behind that door, completely unaware of the lethal firepower just inches away on the other side.
Section 3. Danger beyond the glass, the perimeter threat. 4. That's the number of distinct, loud booms the narrator remembers hearing. This event took place in early October during a rainy first lunch period. And honestly, because of the overcast weather, pretty much everyone just assumed it was thunder. But when the entire lunch crowd suddenly started screaming and campus security rushed in yelling for everybody to move, yeah, the reality of those 4 booms set in real fast.
So campus security herded all of the students into the school's massive multi-purpose room. But there was a glaring, massive flaw with this safe room. The entire back wall was made of see-through glass. Security guards are desperately trying to cover this glass with curtains. And the students, they were trapped there for an agonizing hour, eventually finding out from an adult that a mentally disabled man had barricaded himself in a house directly across the street, threatening to kill the cops. Oh, and he was also a registered sex offender who'd been seen watching the kids at the school before.
And to make the proximity of this threat even more disturbing, this wasn't just some unknown neighbor. A friend of the narrator revealed a completely wild backstory. The previous Halloween, she had actually seen this exact same man standing at his window across from the school, cutting his arm and writing this very phrase in his own blood on the glass: "Don't come here or I'll kill you." At the time, they brushed it off as some twisted Halloween prank. But sitting behind that huge glass wall in the multi-purpose room, they suddenly realized just how real that threat had always been.
Section 4. Trapped with the threat, the inside man.
The dramatic irony of this third situation is just stark. Think about this contrast. Upstairs in the high school, there is an active shooter, total panic, and actual gunfire happening.
But down in the isolated school basement, we have a 22-year-old computer intern sitting in an air-conditioned office with no actual door, completely unsuspecting, literally just eating his sandwich. He gets a super quick call from the front office saying they're on lockdown for a possible armed intruder, and then just nothing.
20. So what does he do? He turns off his monitors and hits the lights. And for 20 agonizing minutes, he just sits in pitch darkness under his desk, playing games on his phone. He can't hear a single thing happening upstairs. The suspense here is almost unbearable. It's 20 minutes of total sensory deprivation, completely disconnected from the life or death chaos unfolding just a few floors above him. And then the heavy basement door creaks open.
Footsteps start echoing down the stairs, and they're making a beeline straight for his dark office. The intern is absolutely paralyzed with fear. Finally, as the person gets right next to him, the intern just dives out from under the desk, begging for his life. But instead of violence, a hand grabs his arm and pulls him up. The guy says, "It's okay, I'm just down here hiding with you." The intern looks at him and sees the man is wearing a red plaid button-up shirt and a reddish-black cap. The man claims he was just coming to pick up his son when a teacher told him to run and hide. Literally right after the man explains himself, the intern's phone finally dings. It's a text from his coworker upstairs. It says, "Dude, this is fucking crazy. Some guy with a gun shot Mr. Buckley. He's wearing a red shirt and hat. Whatever you do, don't come upstairs." The intern reads this text, looks up from his glowing screen in the pitch dark, and locks eyes with the man in the red plaid shirt and reddish-black cap standing mere inches away from him.
The guy sees the intern's suspicious stare and immediately catches on. And the intern, he doesn't even hesitate. He bolts out of the office and runs for the basement stairs. As he sprints through the pitch black, a massive gunshot echoes through the basement. The intern literally hears the bullet ricochet off the metal servers in the dark. Unbelievably, he makes it up the stairs uninjured, so narrowly escaping the shooter who had just been hiding right beside him.
Section 5. Surviving the unthinkable. The aftermath. So, how did all these end? Well, the resolutions to these terrifying events are as varied as the events themselves. In Story 1, the man with the .44 Magnum simply slipped away into the night before police arrived, which leaves this incredibly chilling lack of closure. In Story 2, the barricaded man was contained by police and never actually breached the campus perimeter. And in Story 3, the cops were actually waiting right at the top of the basement stairs. They caught the shooter the exact second he emerged, and thankfully, the teacher who was shot up above, Mr. Buckley, actually survived the attack. Which brings us to a really crucial takeaway from this explainer. Yes, the physical lockdowns ended, the doors were eventually unlocked, and the students and staff got to go home. But think about this. Long after the doors unlock, when does the psychological lockdown truly end? You know, the intern from our third story noted that the sound of that gunshot in the dark is going to forever echo in his mind. These accounts really remind us that the proximity to terror leaves a lasting mark long after the physical danger is past. Thank you so